Hello, and welcome to the IADS Retail Park, the podcast from the International Association of Department Stores. I'm Maya, your host, and whether this is your first episode or you're one of our returning listeners, we're delighted to have you with us as we dig into the stories and spaces that are shaping retail. Today, I'm joined by Selvane, who not only brings a global perspective on department stores, but is also the author of our latest exclusive on New Jersey's malls. Selvane, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Maya. It's great to be back. Now, I have to admit, when I set out to write this exclusive, I didn't expect New Jersey's malls to spark so many questions about what American retail really means, not just for locals, but for anyone comparing it to shopping experiences around the world.
That's what struck me reading your exclusive. You paint such a vivid picture of New Jersey, not just the land of diners and reality TV, but a place where malls are almost cultural landmarks. Let's start with the basics. Why New Jersey? What makes its malls so important?
New Jersey is pretty interesting because even though it's one of the smallest states, it has the highest number of people packed into each square mile. That density has led to a high concentration of retail centers, and over time, the state earned the nickname the Mall State. But it's not just about numbers. These malls are not only places to shop, they're social spaces, entertainment hubs, and in many ways reflections of American suburban life.
And the two malls you focused on, American Dream and Westfield Garden State Plaza, couldn't be more different. One is a futuristic entertainment complex, the other a classic retail institution. Let's start with Garden State Plaza. It's been around since the 1950s, right?
That's right. Garden State Plaza opened in 1957, and it's really a piece of American retail history. It started as an open air plaza and quickly became a magnet for shoppers from New York, thanks to New Jersey's lower sales taxes. Over the decades, it's expanded, been enclosed, and reinvented itself multiple times. Today, it's home to more than 300 stores, including department store anchors like Macy's, Nordstrom, and Neiman Marcus.
You describe it as a super regional mall, but also mention that the experience can feel a bit utilitarian, almost overwhelming for newcomers. What stood out to you when you visited?
What really stood out was the contrast between ambition and reality. The mall is massive, but when you walk in, it's not particularly impressive from the outside. Inside, it's divided into zones: a luxury area, a fashion district, and then more mainstream spaces. The segmentation is so strong that shoppers looking for luxury might never wander into the mid-tier zones, and vice versa. There's a sense of decision fatigue. The sheer number of choices and the scale can be exhausting.
That's so interesting, especially when you compare it to malls in Europe or Asia, where the design often encourages you to explore and discover new things. Let's talk about the department stores inside Garden State Plaza. Macy's, Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, they're all there, but each one feels different.
Absolutely. Macy's is the oldest and the largest, but it shows its age. The layout is a bit confusing, and the design feels functional rather than inspirational. Nordstrom, on the other hand, is all about simplicity and ease of navigation. It's not flashy, but it works. Neiman Marcus is the one that comes closest to a true luxury experience, with a refined atmosphere and careful brand presentation. But even there, you can sense the tension between the mall's suburban setting and the expectations of high-end shoppers.
You mentioned in your exclusive that these department stores are trying to serve everyone at once, and sometimes that means no one gets a truly memorable experience. That's a challenge for any retailer, but especially in a place as big and diverse as Garden State Plaza.
Yes, that's very true. I'm glad you mentioned it, Maya. It's more like a balancing act, and sometimes it feels like the stores are trying to be everything to everyone. The result is a space that's accessible, but not always inspiring. You see a lot of promotions, a lot of functional layouts, but not much that makes you stop and say, wow, I need to come back here.
Let's shift to American Dream. This mall is famous for its attractions: an indoor ski slope, a water park, even a theme park. It's almost more of an entertainment destination than a shopping center.
I completely agree. American Dream is the second largest mall in the US, and more than half of its space is dedicated to attractions. It's designed to draw tourists as well as locals. And the idea is that you come for the experience, not just the shopping. But even with all these features, there are challenges. The luxury wing, for example, has beautiful stores, but sometimes feels empty or disconnected from the rest of the mall. And the Saks Fifth Avenue anchor, which should be a highlight, can feel almost invisible.
It's a fascinating contradiction. On one hand, you have these incredible attractions, but on the other, you have retail spaces that don't always deliver on the promise of luxury or excitement. What do you think this says about American consumer culture?
I think it highlights a peculiarly American compromise. There's a focus on convenience, volume, and accessibility, but sometimes at the expense of atmosphere and inspiration. Even when luxury brands are present, the environment doesn't always match the expectations you'd find in cities like New York or in international destinations. It's as if the idea of luxury is about having the brands rather than creating a truly elevated experience.
That's such an important point, and for international visitors, these malls can be a real surprise, sometimes not in the way they expect. What do you think retailers and mall operators could learn from these contrasts?
There's definitely a lot to learn from how international malls blend commerce, culture, and design. In many places, shopping centers are destinations in themselves with art, events, and a sense of place. American malls could benefit from thinking beyond just retail and entertainment and focusing on creating environments that are inspiring and cohesive. It's about making people want to come back, not just for what they can buy, but for how the space makes them feel.
Before we wrap up, I want to remind our listeners that they can check out the photos and full exclusive report from your visit. Just look for the link in the episode description. And Selvane, thank you for sharing your insights and stories. It's been a wonderful little chat.
Thank you, Maya. It's always a pleasure to share what I've seen and learned. And to everyone listening, I hope this episode gives you a new perspective on what malls can be and what they might become.
Connect with us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our Substack for the latest updates. And just to note, this podcast features AI cloned voices created with human oversight, and all content is carefully reviewed by experts to ensure accuracy and relevance. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to welcoming you back next time as we continue to explore the ideas and innovations driving the world of retail forward. Goodbye for now.